Hey, how y'all doing? Welcome to the Bayou Ballers podcast, second
Yeah.
episode. We have my guy Trey on the other end. We about to tap into a lot of NBA and a little bit of NFL right now, but y'all know NBA conference finals going on, so we're gonna have a lot of NBA IMT visuals myself. But how did they going, bro, for you, Trey? Before we get into these topics,
Man, it's going good, man. Busy day, but I was dreading coming on a podcast because I felt like you was going to, be like, hey, man, I told you Wolves in seven, dog. Wolves in seven, but you
I
got
told
that
you I
one
don't
right. So
gloat.
shout out to you, dog.
I
You
don't
know,
gloat. My man ain't got it done.
I don't know if you're not for visuals or whatever, but good.
See, I know you the self-proclaimed sports guru, but I'm a,
I am.
I gotta come up with a nickname for myself because other than that, I just call myself the visuals. Maybe that's good enough though, Maybe I can see it to the future a little bit. But we got the conference finals going on, man. I'm excited. And last night we're gonna get these serious predictions out for the Celtics and the Pacers,
Mhm.
even though they already had game one. But I think probably 98% of the world is picking the Celtics.
Yeah.
They won last night in overtime. The Pacers, I think they blew that game, threw it away. I didn't watch the whole game, but three, 10 seconds left. Turnover. Jalen Brown three, Mike Breen. Bang, bang. What's your thoughts on the game, brother? And how do you
Man,
think the series will go?
well, I start with the game. I think it was probably the perfect example of some bad coaching. Honestly, on both sides, I got more of the second half of the game, but I knew
Mhm.
there were points where even the Celtics had large leads, and it felt like when Tatum wasn't on the court that the Celtics couldn't maintain that lead, and the Pacers ended up getting down to one. And kind of how you mentioned, man, the Pacers literally threw the game away.
Exactly.
One starting because I felt like the coach should have called the timeout. Right, you had
Hmm.
timeout at his disposal, advanced the ball, man.
And the pass was
Forcing the
late though.
foul.
He was open. The pass was late. He threw it so late, Nimhard. Like
He
when
was late on it. I do agree
Pascal
he was
pushed
late
off,
on it. But
he
it's
should
kind
have
of
hit him
like,
right there.
yeah, but you know how it is. And it's kind of like one of them things when you talk like, man, when you mess up, just call a
Right.
timeout. Let's start again. But it kind of,
Yep.
I mean, granted, he a young player too.
He
So in
is.
his mind, it was, let me get the ball out. You
Hmm.
almost kind of wish Halliburton was taking the ball out. That's the
Yeah.
best pass on your team. Get the
They
ball,
wanted
go
him.
into a true
He was the
defense.
first option to get it because he's a good free throw shooter. That's probably
Yeah,
why he didn't take
yeah,
it out. But I would have thought TJ McConnell would have been in that position. He's a smart player,
absolutely.
veteran. I'm sure he would have called a timeout because he'd been in pressure situations before. So
That's true.
I thought what you thought about the Pacers? Because nobody has been giving the Pacers a chance. What you thought
Right.
about their fight? And they were in position to win this game, even though they
Hmm.
blew it. Do you think they have a chance to come back in Boston, game two, and get a win? Or was that the game that the Celtics give away in each series,
I think
but
that
they
was the
still won
game.
it?
I would think
Hmm.
that was the game that the Celtics typically give away in each series. I think if they were
Hmm.
going to steal a game early in Boston, that
Hmm.
was the one. So I don't know if they're going to win game two in Boston, but just kind of what they've been able to do in their home court, I could see the series coming back to Boston for game five, tied up at 2-2. But,
Okay.
games, I mean, it's all about swings, man, and moments. And sometimes you just want to seize that moment. We've seen many times where it's like, yeah, that team had a chance, they missed out on it, and they'll be back, and they never get back. But you also see kind of like in that Wolves Nuggets series where the Wolves pretty much dominated every game. Probably should have been a sweep for the most part,
Hmm.
and or at least a gentleman's sweep. And they kind of showed it on Game 7 that we're still the better team, and so you can see um, the Pacers being able to do that. I'm really interested to see if Porzingis returns in the
Hmm.
series. Because to be honest with you, that's going to determine my um, pick. Because I think if he's back, I think the Celtics win in about 5 or 6. I think if he
Hmm.
doesn't return, I can see the Pacers winning in 6 because they have just a little
Okay.
bit more size. But
Hmm.
the way they were kind of attacking Al Horford, I was like, man, that can't be sustainable. Like, I don't think the Celtics can keep fighting that. So it'd be
Right.
interesting to see if KP comes back. And I mean, I think in the offensive end, when JT and even JB are resting, you're going to need somebody, right? But even the defensive end, his versatility and being able to protect the paint is going to be huge for them. So I'm interested to see if he returns from injury. I'm in the
Mhm.
conference finals and what he looks like. But as of now, I'll pick the Celtics in 6.
Okay. That's a good point with KP Porzingis, but I don't think it's about him coming back. I think it's about how he looks if he does come back.
There.
Because it's not no regular little it's not a regular injury that something that you just come back from and just get back in the flow of the game. He
Mhm.
had to find his flow. He's been out for a good bit now, a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And I wonder how that would affect their rhythm offensively because Jason Tatum, he hasn't been shooting too
Mhm.
well the whole playoffs. And adding another guy who gets his shot attempts up about 10, 12 a game, Porzingis, you'll want to feed him. He's going to stretch the floor, get Miles Turner outside of the paint with Al Horford. And they really don't have too much size after Al Horford right now, other than Luke Cornett, and he doesn't play too many minutes because he's not too good laterally
Mhm.
switching. So I would like to see how that is, but I will pick the Celtics because it's just been a cakewalk for them. The Pacers fought harder than I thought they would,
Mhm.
even though the Celtics, you can't trust them a little bit.
Yeah.
Even though you just can't trust them because they'll pull off a game that they did last night, which they supposed to be down 1-0, but so I picked the Celtics in 6 because I respect the Pacers. I respect the champion they have in Siakam over
Mhm.
there. Tyrese a young star right now. Miles Turner playing well. And those two young guys, Neesmith and Nimhard,
Yeah.
they some gems. And like they good like role players. They make the plays you need them to make. And that's what you need on a championship team. So I'm gonna go with
Nice.
the Celtics in 6.
Okay.
All right. Now I said I don't gloat, but that man has got to the conference finals. 22-year-old or
22.
24.
22.
22-year-old Ant in the finals against Luca. Well, I should say Ant and Cat in supporting cast because
Mhm.
we didn't get to talk about the game 7 with the Nuggets in Minnesota. Let's touch on that before we get to Dallas and Minnesota. The champs are down,
Yeah.
and I don't think a lot of people picked against the champs because the
Mhm.
Nuggets, like you said, they had a Warriors aura to them about when they're down or just they never going away.
Mhm.
And when they were up 20, it was looking bleak.
Yeah.
But I was like, all right, the Minnesota ain't making no shots right now, but the Nuggets, it could be a 35-point lead too.
Yeah.
So what was your thoughts on game 7 and what you thought about the Wolves pulling it out?
Yeah, man. I would say when you first got to give a shout out to the Wolves for battling back, and to be quite honest, I think the Wolves stuck to what they do.
Mhm.
They didn't panic. They played their game. They did the normal rotations. So giving Ant his normal rest, giving Cat his normal rest. And I think at the end of the day, it paid dividends for them.
Yes.
Whereas I felt like the Nuggets kind of went away from their element, which was surprising because they had a 20-point lead, right?
He
But
was trying to put
when
him away. He
but
was
when you
trying to
find out that Jokic, a big boy, that you don't really want him running too much, only had 1
exactly.
minute of rest the whole game.
Yep.
And it's like, man, you couldn't find him any minutes where he could sit, chill, even if you got to
Exactly.
pull a DeAndre Jordan, who we saw in that first round series versus the Lakers, just
He
coming
could
in,
have
playing
though.
2 to 3 minutes, right? And just so Jokic could get a blow, because much like the Lakers series, the amount that you were asking him to do, you
Mhm.
needed to give him some rest. And I think down the stretch of the game, where it was blow for blow, Nuggets kind of ran out of gas. Jamal Murray really wasn't, after that, amazing first quarter, finished with 35, right?
And
But only 11 in the second half. And so he
and
wasn't doing his thing. And Ant is a big part of that in terms of shutting it
uh-huh.
down. So I did feel like the coaches didn't do the Nuggets any favors just in terms of kind of finding moments to get
Mhm.
them some rest. And I think the Minnesota Timberwolves kind of stayed true to who they were. Most importantly, they stayed true to Rudy Gobert, who was getting a lot of
Flack.
backlash. Like, hey, y'all got to bench this guy. He's not giving
Mhm.
it to you. And he's really responsible for them getting that lead down to about from 20 to 8. And
Mhm.
then when he came back in, they were down 1. And then he kind of went on a little run on his own,
Fade away,
hit a,
Rudy.
hit a
Fade
joker
away,
on
Rudy.
joker. You know what I mean? So
Man, that phone was horrible.
It's like when that happens, man, it's kind of like when I saw that shot when I was like, dog, I don't think they got
That's
it.
what a lot of people
And
told me. A lot of people, a lot of people be like, if he made that, it had to be their night. But it's crazy
no.
because it's a tale of two quarters. Like you up 20, and next thing you know, you're down two. It's like opening the
Mhm.
third quarter. Like, and I believe it was a fact of like you said, Jokic playing 47 minutes, coaching from the Nuggets because the three bigs Minnesota has. I think Michael Malone was like, okay, we can't rush Jokic none because their bigs all are effective in their own way. Nas
Mhm.
Reed can get down low and score in the post.
Yeah.
They have nobody to guard Cat if Jokic is off the floor or
Mhm.
Nas Reed. We know Rudy isn't offensive threat too much, at least most of the
Mhm.
time. But he had I think about 13 points in the game seven. But Nas Reed and Cat on the floor together when Jokic is resting, I think they felt they was gonna get killed on the boards and just ain't going to the rack with no resistance. But I think they could have
Mhm.
used Peyton Watson in
Yeah.
that series. They needed some athleticism to because he played in the first series against the Lakers, and that was the difference between the
Mhm.
Lakers and Minnesota. You can give Jokic a blow because Darvin Ham matched him and Anthony Davis minutes.
Yeah.
When Anthony Davis on the floor, off the floor, well, when Jokic go to the bench, Anthony Davis go to the bench, and that
Mhm.
was the key to that Nuggets winning that series because when there's no backup big, they had Peyton Watson and the Lakers don't have no backup big, so
Yeah.
they can't kill you down low when AD is out the game. LeBron can drive to the goal, but Aaron Gordon is a reliable defender against Brian because
Mhm.
he's only one of the only guys in the NBA who has the size
Mhm.
and the strength to stay with LeBron going down low. So that was a big difference. 47 minutes, Mike Malone got away from what got him to the second round this year. And this year we're gonna have another champion for the
Yeah.
6 years straight, which we'll get to later. But Dallas and Minnesota. Who should pick? You
Mhm.
picking against Ant again, my man?
You know
Well,
what,
matter of
man? Like,
fact,
so
let's
I
do
say
game
this.
one today.
I was
Let's do
talking to
game one
somebody,
predictions.
and they were saying, I think they were a Pels fan. They were saying, man, I hope Luka win. I was like, bro, as a Spurs fan, it's against my religion to
For
cheer for
Dallas.
the Mavs and want them to win.
Okay.
But I will say, I think Dallas plays a style
Hmm.
that will provide some matchup nightmares for um, Minnesota in
Minnesota.
the sense of, Minnesota versus Denver. Denver really, from the guard position, right, only had one person that could
Exactly.
create offense,
Yeah.
being Jamal Murray. When you go to Mavs, you got Luka, you got Kyrie, you even got
Don't forget, Hardaway is
Dante.
a couple shots from just a 30-point game. Hardaway,
Yeah.
he's just a play. He
And
get
I
hot,
mean,
man. It is crazy.
and you got Dante Exum, you got like Tim Hardaway Jr. who can come in,
Hmm.
just you can just run offense through. And then now you're talking about guys on the wings like a PJ Washington.
Hmm.
Um,
Derrick
trying to think of
Jones, Josh
the other
Green.
guy. You got Josh Green. Trying to think of the left-handed guy.
They got a lefty.
Yeah,
They
trying to
got
think
Jalen
specifically,
Hardy.
but I
Oh,
can't think
Derrick
of his
Jones
name right
Jr.
now.
That's
Yeah,
Derrick Jones Jr. He the
Derrick
lefty.
Jones Jr. So you got some guys that have some size on the wing. So some
Hmm.
guys you can throw at Ant where you're not putting Luka and Kyrie in some tough positions defensively. And
Hmm.
then I will say, man, they made maybe the best trades at the deadline, getting PJ
Two
Washington and
starters.
Daniel Gafford.
Two
And so
starters.
now you got a guy in Derek Lively who was in the starting lineup. Now you can bring him on the bench, so you're not even losing anything. If a Gafford gets in foul trouble or just needs to rest,
Right.
and I think they're going to make it tough. And I think they have the size to maybe deal with Cat a little bit more than maybe the Suns and the Nuggets had. And
Hmm.
so they're built to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. And so
Hmm.
it's going to be interesting. The way I'm looking at it, man, I think that the Timberwolves may end up winning the series if it gets to 7,
Hmm.
um,
Home court advantage.
but you got Luka starting to play better now. PJ Washington been playing out of his mind. You got Kyrie, a healthy Kyrie Irving. Let me knock on wood when the stakes are high.
Please stay healthy.
I'm gonna go.
Everybody.
I'm going to go, and it's going to pain me to say this, but I'm going to go with the Mavs in 6 just because I think it just feels like they have everything from an offensive and defensive standpoint now.
Okay.
But I mean, it's gonna be a tough one. Like it's gonna be one of those where you walk away and say, "Shit, one of these teams could have had either of those games." Like I don't think
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna have too many blowouts. It's gonna be some down to the wire stuff, and that's what the conference finals are about. We already got it in game one on the east side. I think we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna get a tough matchup on the west side as well.
Um, that was all valid points, and they got some little side shows that's gonna go on. When Ant won that game 7, and he took the challenge personal against Jamal Murray.
Mhm.
Was talking about it after the game. He was in the game, being kind of extra and dramatic, which I
Mhm.
love. I love to see from players. I love to see players take it personal on the defensive end when stars guard stars. That's the NBA I grew up watching. I grew
Yeah.
up watching the stars checking each other. Melo versus Brian,
Mhm.
Kobe on Brian, everybody, T Mac on Kobe. I used to love seeing them match up, just seeing the best players match up with each other, trash talk each other up and down the court,
Mhm.
and after the game, dap it up, hug it out. He played good tonight. He got the best of me, beat me. Like that's the NBA I love. Nowadays, nobody check nobody. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. Matchups, analytics, but come on, bro. Sometimes you just got to get down there and check the best player. Like
Mhm.
that's what. Let me not even get on that because I'm gonna get to a whole nother subject. Let's get back to game one. I got a what about Lawrence just now, but game one. Now I'm kind of leaning because Anthony Edwards said Kyrie is going to be his matchup on a post interview on Inside the NBA, and I think it's going to be true. I think he's going to match up on Kyrie and Jaden McDaniels or take Luka,
Mhm.
but I think it's going to be a lot of cross matches because I believe Luka's going to check Jaden because Jaden doesn't do too much on offense, stand in the corner
Mhm.
probably, but he's going to have to watch Jaden on the boards because he
Mhm.
crashes when the ball goes up. And I think Kyrie is going to check Conley. Derrick Jones will guard Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know who's going to guard. I don't know if they're going to start PJ out on Cat. I think they should start Gafford on Cat. I think they should start Gafford on Cat and PJ on Gobert
Mhm.
because Gobert's not an offensive threat. They just have to watch him on the boards. And he's kind of a little wobbly. I don't know. Just watching Gobert, he's just a funny player. Like he's always leaning and wobbling. I don't know. He's just a funny player to watch. That's no
Yeah.
professional criticism. That's just me watching Gobert how I see him. But I think Kyrie hasn't exploded in his playoffs yet.
Mhm.
He had a big third quarter against when it was down, like we talked about it last time. He had a big third quarter when it was down against the Clippers, I believe,
Yeah.
by like 30. But and Luka hasn't scored 40 these playoffs yet. So I think they're due for some big games this series. And I think the better the competition, the better those two will play.
Mhm.
Luka will take it personal against these guys who play great defense. Kyrie's definitely going to take it personal against Ant. And no, that's going to be his two main defenders on him, and Jaden McDaniels, and Ant might take Luka sometimes. It all might depend. But
Mhm.
I'm gonna pick the Mavs in 6 to win this. I think Minnesota will win tonight's game, though. They're on a high right now, and Cat is playing some of the best basketball he ever
Yeah.
played in the league. That's really been an X factor for them because Ant didn't score too much in Game 7. It
Mhm.
was a collective effort on the offensive end, I should say. He made good plays, assists, only one turnover, but I think the Mavs will take it, man, because I believe the offense is due for a lot for big games from their stars. PJ Washington had a great series last. I don't expect him to keep that up, but
Yeah.
I expect him to make timely threes like he did in the last series. I expect Kyrie and Luka to average 25 plus, both of
Yeah.
them together. So I think the Mavs stars will outplay Minnesota stars, and
Mhm.
it's all about the role players after that. But I think the Mavs get it done in 6, and Luka will go to his first finals. Kyrie will go to his third, I believe.
That would be
His
no.
third, yeah.
It's more than that. 'Cause-
2015, he got hurt in that one. 2016, they won. In
But yeah,
2017, so his
yeah.
fourth one.
So it's
His
four
fourth
one.
one.
Yeah.
All right, so he'll be in his fourth one. So we'll get to that when that happens. But speaking of the finals, the Nuggets are out. The new champion again this year. We'll see a new champion. Before we get to the parity, who would you like to see the finals? We have Luka, Tatum. I'm going with the young guys. Luka,
Yeah.
Tatum, and or the Pacers, Tyrese, Halliburton. It's the dawn of the new
Yeah.
youngins. Who would you like to see? I
I
know it
would
ain't
say
Dallas, so let me get that out of here.
no. So I don't want Dallas. I don't want Dallas to
Uh-huh.
win a ring, but at the same time, it's kind of like with each of those four teams and their best players, whoever wins the
Mm-hmm.
NBA Finals this year, the NBA is, putting the rocket on them, and that's your new
Mm-hmm.
face. So whether it's going to be Luka, Ant, JT, or Halliburton, it's going to be one of those four.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, I would probably go for the first time chance, whether it be Minnesota
Mm-hmm.
or Indiana.
Okay.
But man, JT has been getting, and trust me,
Grinding.
I'm probably the biggest Celtics hater. Like I hate the Celtics and the Lakers equally. That's just how I ride. But
Okay.
the fact that this guy has been nothing but a professional, a dominant player in this league, I think in his 6 or 7 years, or I think his
Mm-hmm.
8 years in the league, he's been to 6 conference finals. So that shows the level of play that he has. And I just feel like he's gotten a lot of unfair treatment
Mm-hmm.
from the media and some of his peers. And so I would
And
like
what
to
way
see
you
him
believe?
get one. Hmm?
And what way you feel he got unfair treatment
I just
from the
feel like
media?
people are just kind of treating him like he's a nobody and
Okay.
that he's not as good as his peers. Like he's one of those. Like right now, I mean, look, I've had a conversation with somebody that was saying, "Man, yeah, Ant's better than JT." And I'm like, well, we judging a guy who just won a first round series at that point versus
Mm-hmm.
a guy that's always within reach of an NBA Finals, haven't reached one in his career. And
Okay.
so I think we got to get a little bit more respect for what people have accomplished in this league. And I just feel like they just kind of trying to
It's a
bypass
it's a
him,
lot of
push all
recency
these other
bias.
stars in front of him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, best record in the league, best team in the league. It got to be now,
I'm glad you
especially
said
with some
that.
players aging. They got a lot of contracts, a lot of money on some guys where, you know, I think they paid Drew. So now we're looking at a Derek White. Is he gonna get paid by Boston? Because he's played himself into a bigger
No.
contract, right? So
No.
it's about time. I mean, you can't go another year. You traded away Marcus Smart, you traded away Robert Williams, you traded away Grant Williams. So you've made a lot of decisions, right, to bring
Mm-hmm.
these guys in. This is the year. You got to make it happen. I kind of liken it to when I guess the Bucks got Drew Holiday, and like they
Mm-hmm.
traded all those picks, traded players away, and it was like Giannis got to get it done this year, and he was able to do it. I think
Mm-hmm.
the same thing is on JT. He got it. He has to get it done this year. It can't be, oh well, Jaylen Brown didn't step up or this person didn't step up. You
So
got to
sound
enter the clip, bro. You got to
right.
enter the clip.
Sound like you kind of agree with the media, though. You
You
said he
know,
to get it done.
but
So
it's
I don't
but
think he's been unfairly
I think he's
criticized.
one
I
of the
think he's
top
been
players in the league,
criticized.
regardless. Like I know
You
it's
think
more
he's
to the
top? You
game.
think he's better? You think he's better than Luca? And
I think he's better than Ant. I don't
okay,
think he's necessarily better than Luca, and that's in a way
why?
I'm kind of thinking about what Luca inherited. You know, Luca
What the
pretty much
franchise?
inherited a team where Dirk was on his way out. They weren't
Mm-hmm.
that good. JT got drafted by the defending best record in the
So
league,
this is
Boston Celtics,
this is
right?
what I mean. I'm glad you brought that up. How Tatum is not. You don't think he's rightfully criticized because
Mhm.
he's went to a good team. So the
Mhm.
6 conference finals, I would say those are not just heavily on him.
That's true.
Like I don't know when people say that he's not. I look at it and be like, he's not the sole guy who's getting him there. He was in the
Mhm.
Luca who got the Mavs to the conference final. Not to compare them to, because I think most people believe Luca is a better player.
Yeah.
But Tatum has always been on good teams. This team he's on now, they should win this championship. It's nobody
Yeah.
should beat them. I don't care if the Nuggets got through. They have Holiday. They have 2 backcourt guys
Yeah.
who are all defensive players. Jaylen Brown, he's a good defender and a 20-point scorer. He's been their best player, arguably, these playoffs. Jason Tatum, Kristaps
Mhm.
Porzingis, Al Horford, and that's all you need. 6 guys.
But
It's like when I say that, it's like I don't believe Jason Tatum like can be like that one guy
that
who
one.
like takes you, but he
Mhm.
has a bunch of 2A guys. Drew Holiday was a third option on the Bucks team, but sometimes he took that second role when Chris
Yeah.
Middleton wasn't working. Jaylen Brown, he's definitely a second option. And you have Derek White, great role player.
Mhm.
Sometimes he plays above role player. I don't even want to call him a role player because he plays better than that. And
Mhm.
Kristaps Porzingis, you could say he's a third option on a championship team you want.
Mhm.
So you got a bunch of great options if your game isn't up to par to help you out. And you've been to the finals already against the Warriors, who most people say that Warriors team was beatable. The Celtics was
Yeah.
better than that Warriors team,
Mhm.
but the greatness of Steph Curry overshadowed the greatness of the Celtics. So,
Yeah.
I think who I would like to see win. It's like I got a love hate with this Mavs thing right now because it's like I told you, Kyrie is my second favorite player,
Yeah.
but the opposite of what you said with Jason Tatum, I feel the media is starstruck and been in love with Luka ever since he came in the league, and
That's true.
he's only been in one conference finals. Like the way he plays, it's just it
Mhm.
so remind me of James Harden. I know a lot of people compare that, but they play different. Yeah, I would say this: he's not bad in the playoffs, but the play style, and I
Mhm.
think his just defense, it kills me watching him on defense. Like I don't know, like it just kills me when I'm watching him because he doesn't try. Like
Yeah.
in crunch moments, like people just blow by him and he just olays them. Like, and he just looking at his other teammates when they scoring them, like, where were you? I hate that when I'm watching players, and that's just any players. And I
Yeah.
just hate the complaining to the refs all the time. That's all I hate. Like, just stop complaining. Go get some buckets. Go get a stop. Stop every play from the first quarter to the fourth quarter. And
Yeah.
that's just it's not fun to watch for me. That's the only thing I say. But I would like to see, tell you the truth, I'd like to see Ant win because he's himself.
Mhm.
He was himself, even though I got the Mavs. He's 100% Anthony Edwards. He doesn't hold back nothing. He's fun in the press conferences. He's got that style. And I think a lot of people would adapt to him. He good size, not too crazy.
Mhm.
You can most guys can put in the work and do the things Anthony ever could do, other than the
Mhm.
crazy athleticism he got. But do you like this NBA parity that's going on, man? We haven't have a back-to-back champion since under the Thanos Warriors with KD.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's been what? This is gonna be year. We about to get a sixth different
six,
champion in the past 6 years. Is
yep,
what it's
since
looking like.
KD left the Warriors, against the
Yeah.
Raptors. That was the last back-to-back. And the
Okay.
Warriors beat Cleveland 2 years in a row. So
Okay.
which
Bear with me here. I have two different views.
mhm,
I think from a NBA standpoint, like the league, I think it's great that you have parity,
mhm,
especially as fans of teams and things like that. And it's when we were coming up, if you weren't a Laker, a Spur, you really weren't winning championships. You might sprinkle in Dallas, you might sprinkle in the Heat in their run. You had Golden State, but there
mhm,
was a period of about 20 to 25 years where only a few teams really ran the gauntlet.
mhm.
And if you were in some of those other teams, you just kind of were praying that you made the playoffs. But now I think
You know
with
you
so
was
much
gonna lose
parity
too.
in the league, right? I think now fan bases have more belief in their franchises than they've ever
Exactly.
had before. That hey, we make one or two good moves, right?
We got a
Like we can
chance.
we can be in that number.
Right.
So I think it's great for the league. I think it's great for fans who are invested in a team, feeling like they actually have a chance.
Mhm.
I do think it's bad for individual legacies.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is, you
Everybody
know,
got a championship in
yeah,
your era.
Magic and Bird had their times. They was
Uh-huh.
going at it, but you either was going to be a Laker or a Celtic winning in that time. And then,
Mhm.
you had Isaiah come in, sprinkle his legacy in there, being able to win two championships in the middle of them and the ascension of Jordan at the same time. Then you had MJ run it for a little bit. You
Mhm.
had Shaq and Kobe Lakers. You had Tim Duncan. You had Kobe and Powell Lakers. You had the Miami Heat. You've had the Golden State Warriors. So you've had guys like I said, Shaq, Kobe, LeBron, Tim Duncan, Steph Curry. They've had their moments in the sun where you knew
Yep.
they were the best players and they had, certain periods of time on lock. So when we talk about them from a historical standpoint, you got to put their names in it. But if we're gonna have year after year after year someone different, like to your point, it's like, yeah, this person won in your era and
Yep.
all that type of discourse.
Kawhi, Giannis,
So it's
Jokic.
gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt, I guess, individual legacies. But in the grand scheme of things for the game, I think it's a beautiful thing that everybody's having opportunities, especially some of these smaller market teams like we saw Milwaukee, we
Bucks.
saw Denver. We could potentially see Indiana or Minnesota who are in smaller market areas, right?
If you want to
And
count
that's
the Toronto, I don't know, even though they're a whole
yeah, I
country.
mean, I guess I would count them as a small market in the grand scheme of things, but I guess them having Canada on lock, I don't know for sure how they're regarded. But it's just good to have so much parity and again, I think coming in, everybody as a fan, like if you can be a fan of the Charlotte Hornets right now, and you're thinking, shit, if we get Melo some help, we could be vying for NBA
Melo need to get
championship
his
week
own
one,
help,
right? Like,
right?
who would have thought the Pacers are within reach of a finals right now? And they made the necessary moves. They get Pascal Siakam a champion, right? And now they're in it. So I like it. As a fan, I love it. But I think as we talk about guys further on in their legacies, I think more so like Giannis and Jokic, it may hurt their legacy a little bit more, especially if that Frenchman down in San Antonio starts to have his own era of putting
Well,
some
he will have
championships
his
on
era.
lock.
He will have his era.
But what about you? Like, as a fan of the game and even of players and stuff like that, how do you feel about the parity just and what
I
it's been
love
the
it.
past 6 years?
I love coming into the season with like, I don't know who's gonna win. I don't know who's gonna be at the conference. We know with the Warriors, Cavs, who LeBron gonna meet LeBron, the Cavs, and Kyrie gonna meet the Warriors, especially when the Warriors got KD. You like, we know the finals. We don't even need to hype ourselves up through these months. Like, ooh, somebody gonna beat the Warriors. Ooh, somebody gonna beat the Cavs. It's not gonna happen. We know it's gonna happen, and we just want to see the Cavs. Just set them up right now. Cavs and Warriors in October all the way to June. We won't see them, but I love it for the game because it gives everybody a sense of, like you said, we got a chance. Most people at the trade line, it makes good for the trade deadline and off season because a lot of more teams are active. Like, hey, we was here in the first round. We make a play here. We get a 2-way wing here. We get an OG Anunoby at the trade deadline like the Knicks. Hey, we might be a different team. We get a Pascal Siakam. We might be in the conference finals. Things like that. All moves. The Mavs. We get PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford. We in the conference finals. I'm pretty sure everybody thinks they wouldn't have been in the conference finals without those trades. Probably Pascal too. If the Pacers didn't get him, they probably wouldn't have enough to get past the Knicks, even though they were injured. With the Knicks, without injuries, they could be right there against Boston. I think everybody would believe if they was healthy, full strength, they would be able to give Boston a run for their money if they was full strength. So I think it's good for the league. I don't know if we're gonna see a Kansas City Chiefs in this league pretty soon. It would be fun to have a villain. We don't have no villain right now. I think the media was trying to create the Nuggets as a villain only after one championship, and they only won like 52 games. And Michael Malone wanted to take on that villain status, but you can't beat a villain with one championship. You got to go back to back, and then you become the villain. Or at least you're going to be the villain throughout the regular season. Like, hey, it is what it is. We're going to take on this role. But the NBA needs a villain.
And one thing I want to touch on, I know we probably about to move on to another segment, but you mentioned some of the trades, man. When you mentioned those names, I think what was really good was it wasn't what we would
Big
associate
names.
as star players, right?
Right.
And so now it's like, man, like we don't need to be trading or waiting for that one big trade to make it happen. Now it's like, nah, if you get a couple pieces here, a couple pieces there, it can really make some moves. And so I think that adds to the excitement too. So we're not waiting for that one big fish to get traded off. Now it's like, oh shit, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, like he on the trade market. All right, cool.
The whole Raptors. The whole Raptors team. It's like, also I feel like the NBA doesn't want the big trades happening. And I think the big trades, most of the star players big trades are gonna happen in the offseason. I don't think you're gonna see too many star players traded at the deadline. Like a Donovan Mitchell,
Mm-hmm.
unless he like this year he does sign an extension and he doesn't get traded in the offseason,
Mm-hmm.
the Cavs are gonna have to trade him because they're not gonna let him walk for nothing.
Yeah.
He's gonna get traded during the trade deadline up before. But I think big star players are gonna get traded in the offseason, kind of like KD
Mm-hmm.
did with the Suns
Yeah.
early in the morning, 2 a.m. when everybody sleep, they go make a trade. Thank you, Matt Ishbia. Everybody wake up to a bomb. I think big players are going to get traded all season. The margin guys are going to get traded at the deadline, and that's going to win the championship. The
Yeah.
NBA, the new CBA, is against big threes, and that's why a lot of these big three teams are going to be in cap hell, which mainly the Suns. That's why
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be hard for them to make moves. You can't get players off the buyout. Um, well, certain players off the buyout because
Yeah.
if you in a hard cap, things like that, you can make minimum moves when you just got three big players making 40 million, 45 million, 50 million. It's just tough for the team. So I think a lot of NBA front offices got to adjust and got to be better at putting a team together and not just star hunting thinking it's going to work out. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, we're going to get off the NBA, y'all. Got a little 1 hour X's that y'all knew about X's and somebody trying to steal our X from us and right in front of our face.
Mm-hmm.
We got a report from Matt Bowen that the Cowboys are interested in Michael Thomas, former New Orleans Saint. Y'all see the poster behind or the banner. Former New Orleans Saint, been injured last couple years, lower extremity injuries, toe, foot, and ankle, right?
Yep. Toe,
Um,
ankle, yeah.
yeah,
Knee,
all
the most recent.
everything lower body, but he was a superstar with the Saints before injury 3 years ago. So he's been battling injury about 3 years now. So still a free agent, still one of those big names who's a free agent. Him, Justin Simmons. Didn't your guy just get picked up? If I'm not mistaken, Jordan Poyer. He got picked up
He did. He
by
got picked up
Miami.
by Miami. Yep.
By Miami. So we got some big names still on the market. This is kind of how the NFL goes. You probably won't see none of these guys probably signed until probably before training camp. Guys just getting rest. They might wait up until the season.
Mhm.
So what do you think about our old guy, star wide receiver Michael Thomas? The Cowboys having interest in him. We don't know if
Yeah.
he has interest back.
Yeah. I mean, I like it for him, but I hate it for
Mhm.
me. Um, the thing is, man, with the Cowboys, I think one of the things we've always been trying to figure out with them is who's going to be that third guy. You know,
Mhm.
they've had CD and Amari Cooper, and then who's the other guy? Then they
Michael
tried
Gallup was
to
supposed to be it.
they paid Michael Gallup a lot of money. He got injured, never really bounced back from that. And so when they
Right.
added Brandon Cooks, they were hoping, okay, well now Mike or Gallup, we not asking you to be a wide receiver 2 or even a wide receiver 1 in certain cases. You can go
Mhm.
back to being a wide receiver 3, and he just couldn't even match
Just couldn't get
that.
it.
So they actually moved on from him this offseason. And so I think a veteran guy like a Michael Thomas that could be a safety blanket
Possession
for Dak,
receiver. Yep.
right? Because right now is they really don't really have any running backs. They signed Ezekiel Elliott. They got Rodell or something like that was a
They
rookie
got
last year,
the short
short
guy.
guy. So they want to. Mike McCarthy wants to run the ball, but I don't know if they have the backfield to trust it. But also, when throwing the ball, he doesn't want his quarterback holding on to it for a very long time. And so,
Mhm.
what better than to have a guy that can run some nice short routes, get the ball quickly. You have CD, who's one of the better route runners in the league as well. So there's
Mhm.
there's a guy that can also get out of his break very quickly and get the ball out of Dak's hands. And then you got your guy like Brandon Cooks, who you can get the ball to him on screens, jet sweeps, pop passes, and then he can
Yep.
take the top off the defense.
Still
Um,
fast. Years
the one
later.
thing I'm interested about is when Mike
Play the
Thomas
Saints.
and Cooks were with the Saints, there was an issue with targets,
That's
and
crazy. That is.
you would
They're in
hope
different
that
places in a
right.
career now, though.
And you
They're
would
in
hope
different
that Brandon
places.
Cooks, right? You would hope that at this stage in his career, he's not caring about, I'm getting 110 targets now instead of the 130 I'm accustomed to.
Mhm.
You would hope that
Dots,
that's
dots.
not what he's caring about right now. But I think it would be a good fit for him, and
Mhm.
that's kind of what Matt Bone was saying, just in terms of being a guy that hey, it's a low risk, high reward. And early in the season last year, like he was still getting treated like a number one wide receiver.
It
I
was.
know Chris Olave has kind of taken on that role for the New Orleans Saints, but when you kind of looked at the bracket coverage that was still going MT's way early in the season, it showed that defenses
Respected
still
him.
respected him, right? And I think if he gets that type of attention in a Dallas Cowboys uniform, that's going to help CeeDee Lamb blossom even more. And I think he's kind of struggled getting used to that wide receiver one role. He's not as
Mm-hmm.
productive as he was when he had an Amari Cooper opposite of him. But maybe having a guy like Michael Thomas adding with a Brandon Cooks, that opens up CeeDee's game a little bit more, and he evolves into the wide receiver that they drafted first round for him to
Mm-hmm.
be. So I think it's a good fit for him, but I hate it as a Saints fan. I hate the Cowboys. We played them week 2.
It'll
I'm
be
being a
fun, yeah.
Bills
If
fan.
you're on a team,
I
I'm gonna
don't
be at that game in Dallas. So
I don't need Michael Thomas getting the slant in the first down and doing the flex. Like I can't deal with
eight
it.
catches, 113 yards,
Like,
one touchdown. Lattimore
like,
gonna lock him up.
like I'm hoping I'm like Lattimore. You gotta you the warden dog. You gotta put this man, in
Lattie gonna be
Angola. Like
undefeated.
it can't happen.
We gonna
Right.
let Debo lock him up. We gonna
Right.
let Debo lock
Right.
that up.
So,
That's a good
but
matchup.
but I don't know, man. I think this was also one of the things. Keyshawn Johnson, his uncle, played for the Cowboys. I know he mentioned sometime during the season that the Cowboys should look at bringing Michael Thomas in. So I think part of that is what plays a role in having Michael Thomas linked to the Cowboys.
Mhm.
But knowing Jerry Jones, I think he's done with the days of bringing in big personalities.
Mhm.
That was him when he was kind of in the 90s and early 2000s, bringing in, Deion Sanders, Terrell Owens. I don't know if he's going to make that move
Mhm.
nowadays, but if he feels like he can help the Cowboys win and bringing them in, we'll see if the dollars and cents match, right?
Mhm. Like I said, I would like to see Michael Thomas, but with the Bills, with Josh Allen, they need some help over there. They got Keon Coleman and they let Gabe Davis and Diggs, well, traded Diggs and let Gabe Davis go. So I
Mm-hmm.
would like to see him over there, but that weather over there, I don't know if he probably would prefer that playing in
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo 8, 9 games out the year when it gets
Yeah.
cold as well. So the dome might work out for him. In Dallas, he come from a dome, playing in a dome that might not be too bad
Mm-hmm.
on his lower extremities, legs. So I think that might be good for Michael Thomas. Tell you the truth, he not coming back to the Saints, so I'm not
Yeah.
pretty concerned with him anymore.
Yeah.
I wish him the best though, because I wish he just stay healthy,
Yeah.
because he's definitely a difference maker when he stays healthy. Even if he doesn't have the explosiveness that he had 3 years ago, he's still
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a difference maker with big first down catches, big third down catches, and goal line.
Yeah.
He's still uses that body to perfection. So Dak could get him a good receiver if he does sign with the Michael Thomas. But I even though I'm not as much concerned about Michael anymore, I still would like to see where he goes.
Yeah.
And if I watch NFL Sunday on one day and I see his name pop up, Michael Thomas touchdown, I'm gonna like that post because I like my New Orleans Saints. And one little thing I have about the Saints though, um, have you ever realized when the Saints let go of their players, you rarely see them like coveted by many teams?
Yeah.
It's like I don't know why that happens. Like when we let Roman Harper go, all out Lance Moore, Pierre Thomas, like they don't pick up jobs. Roman Harper went straight to Carolina. That's in division, so
Yeah.
it's like I be looking like, what's going on with our players? Our players are batters. Now
Yeah.
Trey Hendrickson, he got picked up because he's a star. Like
Yeah.
he's young. But Pierre Thomas, he just went off the map. Lance Moore went to the Falcons. I'm like, what's going on?
Retired
It's
that same
crazy.
day.
Right? He like, you know what? I can't put this uniform on. I can't do it no more. But man, that's Bayou Ballers, y'all, for today. We're gonna have for our hometown fans, we're gonna break down the New Orleans Saints schedule, and we're gonna tell y'all what we predict game by game and what their record's gonna be. Dennis Allen is our coach. I don't know if Trey is gonna be optimistic or pessimistic, but over under 8.5 games on Saints.
Right now, I got over 8.5.
Okay. That's a little sneak peek for y'all, but we're gonna get to that next, y'all. But Bayou Ballers, we out. Thank y'all for tuning in. You make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us what y'all want to see more of. Like we said last week, we add things each and every week for y'all, and we do have our segment that we didn't release yet. I'm getting a drop for us, so when we do it, we're gonna bring it in with a video, and y'all gonna see the name of it. But y'all have a good day. Game 1 tonight. Y'all tune in. Mavs, Minnesota. Mavs in 6, baby.
Let's go.